Hi, I'm Gemily, and in this video I will be telling you why I started getting up early, how it has changed my life, and I'll be sharing with you some of my secrets about how I made this habit stick. I've always wanted to be a morning person, but I'm a bit of a night owl, so by the time morning comes round, I really just want to keep sleeping. I've tried getting up early a number of times throughout my life. I can do it on occasion, of course, when I have to, but as a consistent habit, I kept falling back into my old ways. 2 a.m. has been a pretty standard bedtime for me for quite a long time now. If it hits 3:30 or 4 o'clock, I feel, ooh, that's a bit late. If I go to bed at midnight or even 1, I'm like doing well. Early night, you know? One of the reasons that I have become such a night owl is because nighttime seems like this really sacred space where I don't get interrupted. I come home from a long day of work and I treat myself, you know? I watch that Netflix and I eat that chocolate, and I have a really beautiful evening that I've been looking forward to all day, and I don't want it to end, so I don't get up off the sofa and go to bed. I was finding that I was working 50 to 60 hour work days quite regularly, only getting paid for 38 hours, mind you. So that evening time was very special to me, and I felt like I deserved it because I was so stressed and busy, you know? But that's just it. I really was very stressed and very busy, and being tired all day probably wasn't helping, and sleeping all through my weekends probably also not helping. I thought something that might help me was to spend more time in meditation and prayer to try and recenter myself. But in the evenings, when I thought about it, I couldn't be bothered. I'd been at work all day, I was exhausted, and the idea of trying to sit silently with potentially my eyes closed for any period of time, I would just fall asleep. And you know, that's not what I wanted, because this evening time was my time. So I was getting pretty disappointed with myself for not even being able to fit in any of my spiritual practices, which I find really important in my life, and I know how effective they are and what a difference they make to me. So I decided, all right, I'm gonna try this early morning thing because I clearly don't have the energy for prayer and meditation in the evening. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get up just a little bit earlier and do that first thing before I go to work. So I started getting up not 10 minutes before I had to leave, but an hour and a half before I had to leave. So I had a full hour of time, and then I had half an hour to get ready at a more leisurely pace. So within that first hour, I would take my breakfast out into the lounge room and open up the big glass sliding doors to let the outside air and light in. I would eat my breakfast while reading the readings of my sacred text of my faith for the day. I would spend time in silent meditation. I would spend some time journaling, and then I would finish up by reading a few pages of a book about something spiritual. So I spent that morning really nourishing myself. For the rest of that first day, I was so tired. I was nearly falling over. But that meant that when the evening came, instead of wanting to spend the whole night watching Netflix or scrolling through Instagram, what I did instead was I went to bed because I was so tired. So I got up again the next morning and the next morning. By the third day, I was already noticing a huge difference in myself. I was more aware of my thoughts and my emotions. I noticed the thoughts that I was getting caught on that were going around and around in my head, noticing what correlated with increased stressful feelings because I was paying attention. I was listening. The second thing I noticed was that I was setting my equilibrium for the day. Instead of jumping out of bed with 10 minutes before I had to leave, already running late, really, because I'd maximized all that sleep, I was starting the day off in a calm and spacious way. So later in the day, when something happened that was stressful, it was just a blip in my day. It didn't set the tone for my day because I'd already set that. And it was a much calmer and more peaceful place. So the third thing was that work became something that I did in my day. It didn't become my whole day because I had this buffer at the beginning. And then I noticed more the buffer at the end because I wasn't scrolling through Facebook or staring at a screen. I was getting into bed and reading a little bit, really winding down a bit more. So having work is something that happened in my day instead of being my day. Translated to having work is something that happened in my life instead of being my life. And the result of all this was that I no longer felt stuck in this busy and stressful life. Instead, I felt like my life was spacious and like I had time to think and be creative, and I felt motivated and I felt inspired. I felt happy again, which I realized I hadn't felt in quite a long time. I felt peaceful and I felt a sense of purpose. So this time, instead of trying for a couple of days and falling off the bandwagon, it's actually become a daily habit for me, which I do now without really even thinking about. If you're thinking that maybe you'd like to try getting up early in the morning and that's why you've come to find this video, then I just want to say I definitely 100% recommend giving it a try. And in order to help you stick to it so that you can actually experience the benefits of it, I'm going to give you 6 tips to help you. So my first tip is give yourself a time frame. So don't just say, all right, from now on, I get up at 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. Here we go. Because a couple of days in, you'll be like, I'm really tired. Just today, I'm going to sleep in. Like, one day won't hurt. And then you'll fall straight off. But if you give yourself a time frame, say, for 1 week, I'm going to get up early, or for 1 month, I'm going to get up early, then you're less likely to wake up and say, one day won't hurt, because you're already saying, just for today, I'm getting up early, or just for this week, I'm getting up early. So giving yourself a short time frame to begin with is easier to commit to, and then once you've managed, say, a week, you can extend it to a fortnight, and then to a month, and then to 3 months, and by then you probably are loving it anyway. Another tip is no snooze button allowed. It's too easy to just let yourself press snooze just 1 time, just 2 times, just 3 times. Oh look, a whole hour has passed. But I promise you, getting out of bed, that's the hardest part. Once you're out of bed, maybe drinking that first cup of tea, letting the light shine into the room, you will already feel much better. You might still be tired, but the hard part will be behind you. My third idea is that it's helpful to have something to look forward to when you get out of bed, something to just give you that extra boost so you can jump out of bed. That might be a really nice tea that you've bought, or perhaps a nice breakfast that you can prepare with berries or whatever. Maybe there's a book you really are looking forward to reading, so give yourself a few pages of that first thing in the morning. My 4th tip is no social media first thing. It's too easy to, even before you get out of bed, just have a quick look on Instagram or Facebook or the news, and before you know it, an hour has passed. You'll start wondering, like, why are you getting up so early? It's not really giving you anything. So if you stay off social media for at least that first hour, you will be able to feel the benefits of being up early, which will help you stay motivated to keep doing it. And now number 5, this is the big one. Make getting up early not something that you do, but something that you are. You aren't getting up early, you are someone who gets up early. Thinking of yourself as someone who gets up early takes the decision making out of it and takes the willpower out of it. It's just part of who you are. Your alarm goes off, you get up, and that's who you are. You are someone who gets up early. And if you're telling yourself this, then you're not asking yourself the question, shall I get up today? Shall I sleep in a bit? Shall I wait till tomorrow? No, because it's not something you're doing, it's something you are. And if you don't ask yourself the question, you don't have the chance to change your mind. So I hope this was helpful. Good luck. Let me know how you go down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. If you like this video, then like this video, and you can subscribe if you'd like more content from me. And in the meantime, you can follow me on Instagram at @GemmaLimez. See you next time, and for now, bless. Give yourself a few blah blah. See you next time, and for now, woo, I can't do that, hey.